A single moment can rewrite your entire life. For me, it wasn't a fight, or a confession, or even a slip of the tongue. It was a login, a glowing screen on a quiet night, showing me a world my girlfriend never wanted me to see. I thought I understood trust. I thought I knew Harper. But the truth hiding behind that login didn't just break our relationship, it exposed a plan I never saw coming. And the moment I clicked that password, nothing about my life was ever the same again. I've always believed the quietest moments hide the biggest surprises. And on that night, the quiet was almost too perfect. It was close to midnight when I walked into the living room. The only light came from the TV screen, paused on some true crime show Harper had been watching. She was curled on the couch, fast asleep, wrapped in a blanket like she didn't have a single worry in the world. But something else caught my eye before she did. Her laptop. It was sitting on the coffee table, open, glowing in the dark. Harper was usually careful with it. She always closed it, always logged out, always snapped it shut like she was guarding some secret project. But tonight, it was different. The lid was halfway open, and the screen was bright enough to paint the room in a soft blue color. At first, I walked past it. I wasn't trying to snoop. I wasn't trying to be that guy. But then I glanced again. The page on the screen wasn't something I recognized. It wasn't her email. Not her social media. Not her work portal. It was something else. A platform with a clean, simple login screen. A name I'd never heard. Something that didn't match her job, her hobbies, her usual apps, nothing. That alone made my stomach tighten a bit. Not fear. Not anger. Just curiosity, mixed with that uneasy little voice inside you that whispers, something's not right. I stepped closer. Her email was already filled in the username box. She must have been about to log in before she fell asleep. And right there beside the trackpad was a small sticky note. Yellow. A little bent. With 4 numbers and a simple word written on it. A password. I froze. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew I should close the laptop, tuck Harper in, and forget this moment ever happened. But the glow of the screen felt like it was calling me. Not in some dramatic way, just a quiet pull. Like the truth was right there, waiting for me to decide if I wanted to see it. My heart beat a little faster. My hand moved before my doubt could stop it. I typed in the password. A soft click sounded. And suddenly, the page opened. Messages. Notifications. A small chat window blinking with unread content. And my gut twisted. Because the very first message I saw had my name in it. I leaned in, afraid to scroll but unable to look away. Did he notice anything yet? Another message appeared as I watched, sent just hours ago, no. He never checks. He won't notice anything. Me. My breath caught for a second. I felt like someone had tapped the back of my neck. Not physically, just that strange chill you get when you realize something is happening that you were never supposed to discover. I scrolled up slowly. More messages. Short ones. Fast. Back and forth like people planning something. Did you get access? Not yet. I'm working on it. Be patient. He trusts you. My chest tightened. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep reading or close the whole thing immediately. Trust. Access. Patience. Those weren't harmless words. Harper shifted in her sleep behind me, letting out a soft sigh, completely unaware that her entire hidden world was unfolding on her screen, right in front of me. I swallowed hard and scrolled one more time. That's when I found the message that hit the hardest. Tomorrow night works. He won't notice anything. The same line again. Repeating. Like a promise. For a second, I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't blink. I just stared at the words, feeling the room grow colder around me. What wasn't I supposed to notice? What exactly were they planning? And why was I part of it? I closed the laptop gently, careful not to wake Harper. But even as I stepped back, I knew one thing clearly, whatever this was. Whatever she was involved in. It wasn't small. And it wasn't innocent. And tomorrow night? Tomorrow night was suddenly a countdown. Because she thought I wouldn't notice anything. But now, I noticed everything. I used to think relationships changed slowly, little shifts you barely notice. But looking back now, I realize Harper didn't change slowly at all. She changed in moments, tiny, quiet moments I brushed aside because I didn't want to believe what they meant. The night after I saw her secret login, everything she did made more sense, and at the same time, nothing made sense at all. I remember the first signs. They weren't loud. They weren't dramatic. They were the kind of changes you explain away because it's easier than asking hard questions. Like the late nights. Harper used to fall asleep early. She'd wrap herself in a blanket, lay her head on my shoulder, and drift off before the movie even reached the halfway point. But then something shifted. Suddenly she wasn't tired at night anymore. She stayed up long after I went to bed, tapping quietly on her laptop like she was racing some invisible clock. I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and see the light under the door of our spare room. She'd say she was just catching up on work. I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to. Then there were the quick screen locks. You know that soft, sharp sound a laptop makes when someone closes it too fast. I heard that sound more times than I can count. Every time I walked into a room. Every time I walked past her desk. Every time I said her name when she wasn't expecting it. She'd snap the screen shut like she was guarding state secrets. But I didn't question it. I told myself she just needed privacy. Or that her job was stressing her out. Then came the phone calls. At first, they were normal. Simple, routine stuff. But slowly, Harper started stepping outside to answer them. Not onto the porch where I could still hear her voice, but far enough into the yard that her words faded into the night air. The tone of her voice changed too. Soft. Tight. Nervous. Like she wasn't talking to a friend. Like she wasn't talking to someone she trusted. Or, maybe she trusted them more than she trusted me. But again, I let it go. And that's the part that hurts the most now, not the betrayal, not the secrecy, but how quickly I blamed myself. I kept thinking, maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe she just needs space. Maybe she's tired of me asking about her day. I took her distance as a sign that I was doing something wrong. I tried harder. I joked more. Cooked dinners she liked. Offered to help with her work. Cleaned the house so she wouldn't have to worry. But nothing changed. If anything, the colder she became, the warmer I tried to be. And that's how loneliness slips into a relationship, not loudly, not with a fight, but quietly, like a slow draft you only notice when the room is already cold. I remember one night in particular. I walked into the kitchen and saw Harper standing by the counter, staring at her phone. She didn't notice me at first. Her jaw was tight, her brows pulled in, like she was reading something important, or dangerous. The moment she saw me, she flipped her phone over, screen down. She smiled. But her eyes didn't match the smile. That night, lying in bed next to her, I felt something I had never felt before in our home. Distance. Not physical distance, she was right there, breathing softly beside me. But emotional distance. A space I couldn't reach across no matter how close I moved toward her. And yet, I kept telling myself it was nothing. That relationships go through phases. That I was overthinking. But after seeing the messages on her secret login, those moments didn't feel small anymore. They felt like warnings I ignored. Patterns I should have questioned. Signs I should have taken seriously. And the worst part? Harper acted so normal through all of it. She laughed at my jokes. She asked about my day. She kissed me goodnight. It was convincing. Almost too convincing. Like she'd practiced it. By the third day after discovering her messages, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Not the screen locks. Not the late-night sessions. Not the calls. Not the sudden coldness in moments she thought I wouldn't notice. Everything pointed towards something bigger, something dangerous. Something that involved me. I sat on the edge of our bed that night and stared at the closed door of the spare room, where Harper was typing away again. And for the first time, instead of blaming myself, I trusted my instincts. Whatever Harper was hiding, I needed to find out. And I wasn't going to ignore it any longer. I used to think the worst part of betrayal was the moment you finally see it. But I was wrong. The worst part is realizing how long it was happening without you noticing. A few days after I first saw Harper's secret login, the tension in the house felt different. Heavy. Quiet. Like every wall was holding a secret. Harper moved around normally, smiling, cooking, asking about my day, but something in her eyes didn't match the warmth she was trying to show. And all I could think about was that message, he won't notice anything. But now I noticed everything. One evening, she stepped out to take another one of those mysterious calls in the yard. I watched from the kitchen window. She kept glancing toward the house like she was checking if I was watching. That was my moment. The second the back door closed, I walked to the spare room, her makeshift work area. Her laptop was open again, screen glowing, just like that first night. My heart thumped hard as I stepped into the room. Not because I was afraid she'd catch me, but because a part of me already knew I was about to see something I wasn't ready for. The secret platform was still logged in. Her messages were still there. And a small blinking icon told me she had unread conversations. I clicked it. And that's when her hidden world unfolded in front of me. At the top of the page was the name of the group chat, Project Sierra. The title alone felt cold. Professional. Secretive. Definitely something she would never mention casually. Inside the chat were 4 usernames, Harper's included. And as I scrolled, my chest tightened. Message after message talked about me. Not in a personal way, not in a romantic way, but in a calculated, almost strategic tone. Did you get access to his work files yet? Stay close. He trusts you. We need the internal layouts soon. Then Harper's messages appeared. Her words cut deeper than anything I'd seen so far. He leaves his laptop on the desk when he showers. He checks his email late at night. I can get into his work bag when he's asleep. I felt sick. Like the ground beneath me wasn't solid anymore. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. She wasn't slipping away emotionally, she was preparing something. Something involving my job. Something involving me. I scrolled further and saw a folder Harper had uploaded, labeled, Notes on L. For a moment, I just stared at it, hoping it wasn't what I thought it was. But when I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a list. A long, detailed list. My routines. My passwords, half-formed guesses she was working on. My habits. My schedule. Even small things like when I usually took out the trash, or which drawer I kept my work badge in. It felt like reading a file on a stranger. Except the stranger was me. Every line made my chest tighten more. This wasn't love. This wasn't partnership. This wasn't even personal betrayal. This was surveillance. Targeted. Intentional. Planned. My hands shook as I scrolled back up. New messages were still coming in. Then I saw it. The one line that made everything shift from confusion to fear: tomorrow night. Be ready. Tomorrow night. I stared at those words like they were burning into the screen. That meant they were close. Very close. Whatever they were planning wasn't something vague or distant. It was happening soon. Too soon. At that moment, standing in that dim spare room with only the laptop's light hitting my face, a cold truth settled into my chest: Harper wasn't just drifting away. She wasn't just hiding things. She wasn't unsure, confused, or stressed. No. She was involved in something that touched my job, my security, my life. And I wasn't just a boyfriend caught in someone else's secret. I was part of the plan. A target. I closed the folder slowly, trying to steady my breathing. Then I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway. Harper was coming back inside. I stepped away from the desk just in time, my heart racing, my mind spinning. But one thing had never been clearer: whatever Project Sierra was planning for tomorrow night, I had less than 24 hours to figure it out. And I wasn't about to let them catch me unprepared. Not anymore. I always thought the hardest part of betrayal would be the moment I discovered it. But I was wrong. The hardest part was pretending I didn't know. After seeing the messages inside Project Sierra, my hands didn't stop shaking for hours. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the house while Harper slept peacefully beside me, unaware that her entire secret had finally cracked open. The next morning, before Harper even woke up, I checked my work accounts on my phone. And there it was. Attempts. Multiple attempts. Someone had tried to get into my confidential files. Someone had tried to reset my security questions. Someone had even tried to access restricted folders I never talked about with anyone. This wasn't a random glitch. This wasn't an accident. It was connected, exactly the way the messages described. And whether I liked it or not, Harper was part of it. Seeing those attempts made everything sharper, colder, more real. She wasn't just hiding a separate life. She wasn't just talking to some secret group. She was moving against me. Against my work. Against the trust one had given her so freely. It took all my strength not to wake her up and demand answers right there on the spot. But I stopped myself. If I confronted her too soon, she would panic. She would shut everything down. She would warn the others. She would escape the truth before I could gather what I needed. So I did the one thing I never imagined doing in my own home: I pretended. When Harper finally woke up, stretching on her pillow and smiling softly at me, I forced myself to smile back. My stomach twisted. The warmth in her eyes felt like a lie now, carefully practiced, carefully delivered. "Morning," she said lightly. "Morning," I answered, hoping she couldn't hear the tension in my voice. She leaned over and kissed my cheek like everything was normal, like she hadn't been sending my private information to strangers. That kiss used to make my mornings better. Now it felt like a mask. All day, I acted like nothing had changed. I laughed when she made jokes. I listened as she talked about her plans. I nodded when she mentioned needing to work late again. Every second of it felt wrong. Like I was living in a house made of thin glass, one wrong move and the whole thing would shatter. But I needed her to feel safe. I needed her to believe I had no idea what she was doing. Because that was the only way to stop her. That night, lying in bed next to her, the emotional weight hit me harder than before. Sleeping beside someone who was quietly working against you, that does something to your heart. I could hear her slow breathing. I could feel the warmth of her shoulder touching mine. But none of it brought comfort anymore. I felt alone. Completely alone. Even though she was right there. Part of me still wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe she got mixed up in something she didn't understand. Maybe someone pressured her. Maybe she thought she was helping someone else. But the folder labeled Notes on L. That was intentional. And detailed. And months old. That wasn't confusion. That was commitment. The next afternoon, Harper came home cheerful, humming as she fixed herself a drink in the kitchen. She looked happy, relaxed, like someone who had nothing to hide. And that almost made it worse. Because while she smiled, I was planning. While she laughed, I was analyzing. While she hugged me, I was remembering every message she sent about me behind my back. I kept all my reactions inside. Every fear. Every frustration. Every flash of anger. On the outside, I was calm. But inside, something had shifted. I wasn't just a boyfriend trying to understand what went wrong. I was someone preparing for a counter-move. Quietly. Carefully. Patiently. I didn't know exactly what Harper and that group were planning for tomorrow night. But whatever it was, I wasn't going to let them catch me off guard. Not anymore. By the time Harper went to bed, I had already started forming my next steps. And while she drifted off peacefully, thinking her plan was safe, I finally knew the truth. Her warmth had turned cold long ago. And now, it was my turn to act, silently, strategically, and without warning. Some people think revenge is loud. Explosive. Full of confrontation. But real revenge, the kind that brings the truth into the light, is quiet. Patient. Carefully planned. And that's exactly how I approached the night I decided to turn the tables. After confirming Harper was part of something organized and dangerous, I knew I couldn't rely on luck or emotion. I needed a strategy, one that didn't break anything, didn't harm anyone, but exposed the truth in a way they couldn't deny or escape. The first step. A decoy. I spent hours in my office creating a duplicate version of my work laptop. Same wallpaper. Same folders. Same icons. Everything looked believable. But inside, it wasn't connected to my company at all. It only looked real. In reality, it was a controlled sandbox, a safe environment that recorded every keystroke, every attempt, every click. Even the cursor movements were tracked. Anything they tried to access would leave a digital trail with timestamps and device signatures. No one would be harmed. Nothing important would be touched. But their intentions, those would be fully exposed. Next, I set up digital monitors around the house. Nothing invasive, no cameras in private places. Just door sensors, network alerts, and simple activity logs connected to my phone. If any unknown device connected to the Wi-Fi, I'd know. If a door opened that shouldn't, I'd know. If the decoy laptop was touched, I'd definitely know. The entire house became a silent reporter. A witness they didn't realize was watching. By the time the sun set the next evening, my plan was ready. But acting normal, that was the real challenge. Harper moved around the kitchen, talking about her day, asking what I wanted for dinner. She looked calm. Relaxed. Almost too relaxed. It struck me that she felt safe, confident I had no idea what she was planning for tomorrow night. And that confidence was exactly what I needed. When the clock hit 8:30, I grabbed my keys, walked toward the door, and said casually, "I'm running out for a bit. Need to grab something." Harper didn't blink. Didn't ask questions. Didn't even look up from her phone. Her lack of concern only confirmed what I already knew: she had her own plans for the night. I stepped outside, locked the door behind me, and walked to my car. I drove 2 blocks away, then parked, got out, and quietly circled back through the neighborhood. The night air was still. A calm before a storm no one else could see. I reached my backyard and stayed low behind the fence. Through the living room window, I saw Harper pacing, checking her phone, glancing at the hallway. Then it happened. A figure stepped onto the porch. A man. Short hair. A dark jacket. Moving with purpose. Miles. I'd seen his name in the messages. Now I saw the person behind it. Harper opened the door quickly, ushering him inside like she'd done it before. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Alert, unknown device connected to network. Alert, office door opened. Alert, decoy laptop activated. It was all happening exactly as the messages had predicted. They weren't hesitating. They weren't checking if I was really gone. They thought tonight was their moment. Inside, I could see them through the crack of the hallway lights, hunched over the decoy laptop, clicking, typing, digging. And every move they made was captured in real time on my phone's screen. I watched the logs fill up: unauthorized attempt. File request blocked. Data copy attempted. Each action proved everything they had been planning. My heart was pounding, not with fear, but with something sharper: the feeling of finally taking back control. I waited until I had enough recorded. Until there was no doubt left. Until their intentions were exposed completely. Then I stepped forward. Quietly. Slowly. I opened the back door without a sound. The cool air hit my face as I moved into the hallway. Their voices grew louder as I approached the office. And that was the moment the trap was done, the moment the truth had finally been captured, the moment they were completely unaware that I stepped inside the house quietly. Some moments don't need loud sounds to feel powerful. Sometimes all it takes is the soft creak of a door and the sudden stillness of a room. That's what I walked into. I stepped inside the house quietly, my heart steady but alert. The hallway felt longer than usual, the lights dim, the air tense, almost like the walls themselves knew what was coming. From the office at the end of the hall, I heard whispering. Harper's voice. Then a man's voice: Miles. They didn't hear me approach. They were too focused on the decoy laptop. The screen glowed on their faces as they worked, clicking, scrolling, trying to pull files that didn't exist. My phone buzzed in my pocket again. Alert, unauthorized extraction attempt. Perfect. I walked right up to the office doorway. Both of them froze instantly. Harper's eyes shot up first. Her face drained of color, her hand still hovering over the trackpad. Miles jerked upright in his chair, nearly knocking it backward as he scrambled to look composed. For a moment, no one spoke. Just 3 people, in one small office, with the truth hanging between us like a spotlight. Miles tried to gather himself. Hey, Logan, right? This isn't what it looks like. I didn't even blink. Really? Then tell me, what exactly does it look like? Miles swallowed hard. We were just, helping Harper with something. She said you were okay with it. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the lie was so desperate. I stepped farther into the room, letting the tension sharpen. Helping her? I said quietly. By trying to break into my work files. By connecting an unknown device to my network. By sneaking into my house when you thought I was gone. Miles stiffened. He knew the excuses were gone. He had nothing left to say. Harper's voice finally broke through the silence. Logan, please. Let me explain. There was a shake in her voice I'd never heard before. Not fear of being caught, fear of what this meant for us. But I didn't answer her. Not yet. Instead, I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen twice. A list of logs filled the display, time-stamped, detailed, undeniable. Everything you just did, I said, holding the phone where they could see it, was recorded and reported to my company in real time. Every click. Every attempt. Every connection. Harper covered her mouth with her hands. Miles stepped back like he'd just been hit with a cold wave. You set us up, Miles whispered. No, I replied calmly. You set yourselves up. I just stepped aside and let you do what you already planned. The truth hit Harper right then, clear as day. She hadn't just underestimated me. She had underestimated everything. Her voice trembled. Logan, I never meant for this to go so far. I thought, you thought I'd never find out, I finished for her. She broke into tears, shaking her head, stepping toward me like she could somehow erase the last few months with one apology. Please, she whispered. Just listen. I messed up. I know I did. I was scared, I was confused, but the words didn't land. Not this time. Not after everything she wrote in that folder. Not after the messages. Not after tonight. Miles grabbed his bag suddenly. I'm out of here, he muttered. I'm not going down for this. And just like that, he bolted past me, nearly tripping in the hallway as he ran out the back door. The door slammed behind him, leaving only Harper and me in the quiet office. Harper sank to her knees, tears running down her face. She wasn't pretending anymore. She knew she'd been exposed completely. Logan, please, she whispered. I'm begging you. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I finally spoke, my voice soft but firm. You didn't fool me, I said. You exposed yourself. She froze, her tears stopping mid-breath. That one line shattered whatever she thought she still had left. I turned toward the hallway, leaving her in the silence she created. Because tonight wasn't about anger. It was about the truth. And the truth had finally come crashing down. There's a certain kind of silence that follows the truth. Not peaceful, not comforting, just empty. Like the air hasn't caught up with what happened yet. That's how the house felt the next morning. Harper didn't fight. She didn't argue. She didn't even try to explain the way she had the night before. She just packed. Quietly. Slowly. Like every item she picked up was heavier than the last. I watched from the hallway as she folded clothes, unplugged chargers, slipped her perfume into a small bag. She avoided my eyes the entire time. Maybe she was embarrassed. Maybe she was ashamed. Maybe she finally understood the weight of her choices. When she reached the doorway with the last box in her arms, she paused, just for a moment. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, Logan. For everything. I didn't answer. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because there were no words left that could fix what she broke. She walked out the door without another sound. And just like that, 3 years of memories, laughter, plans, and trust walked out with her. The moment the door closed, the house felt bigger. Quieter. Different. But this time, the silence didn't scare me. It felt like the first step towards something I hadn't felt in months: clarity. The next thing I had to do wasn't emotional, it was practical. I gathered every screenshot, every log file, every alert my system captured the night before. The decoy laptop's data was perfect, clean, organized, undeniable. It showed every attempt Harper and Miles made, every button they clicked, every file they tried to access. It wasn't revenge. It was protection, for myself and for my company. When I met with the company's legal team later that day, they didn't look surprised. Concerned, yes. Disappointed, definitely. But not surprised. They'd seen attempted infiltration before, just not one that came through someone's personal life. I handed over everything. The logs. The screenshots. The messages from Project Sierra. Even the folder labeled Notes on L. They reviewed it all carefully. Quietly. Professionally. By the time I left the office, they assured me I had done the right thing. They also assured me they would handle the rest. And they meant it. Over the next week, Project Sierra unraveled faster than I expected. The group members weren't prepared for exposure. They weren't united. They weren't strong. They were just people chasing something risky, and hoping no one noticed. But their plans had been logged, tracked, time-stamped, and reported. There was no denying anything. Miles faced immediate consequences. Others in the group lost positions or were questioned by investigators. And Harper. She didn't face charges. My company felt her involvement was too small, too limited, too indirect. But her life still changed. Her job asked questions she didn't want to answer. Her friends didn't know what to say to her. People she trusted kept their distance. The group she tried so hard to impress vanished the moment trouble arrived. Her world didn't collapse loudly, it quietly broke apart. And for the first time since all this began, I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt sad. Not for what she did, but for what she became while doing it. As for me, I didn't bounce back overnight. Healing doesn't happen in a single moment, it happens in small steps. Cleaning the house. Opening the windows. Drinking coffee in silence. Sleeping without tension in my chest. Learning to trust my own instincts again. Every day, a little more of the weight lifted. Every day, I felt myself reclaiming the pieces Harper had slowly taken from me. I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't want her to hurt. I didn't want anyone to fall apart. All I wanted was peace. And for the first time in a long time, I finally had some. Because when the truth comes out, as painful as it is, it clears the path forward. And now, that path belonged to me again. Some endings don't arrive with fireworks or dramatic shouts. Sometimes they arrive quietly, like a soft moment of understanding you never expected to find. That's what the days after everything happened felt like. Quiet. Still. Almost peaceful, in a strange way. With Harper gone and Project Sierra shut down, the house felt different. Not empty, but honest. For the first time in months, I could walk from room to room without wondering what was being hidden behind a screen or whispered into a phone. I could sit on my couch without feeling watched. I could sleep without waiting for the next sign of something being wrong. But even with the peace settling in, my mind kept replaying everything that happened. Not to torture myself, but to understand it. Because betrayal always leaves questions behind. The biggest one for me was simple: how did I miss the signs? How did someone I trusted drift so far from who I thought she was? But as I sat with the truth, I realized something important: I didn't miss the signs. I ignored them because I believed in the person I loved. And that isn't weakness. That's humanity. Over time, the lessons started to become clear. Hard lessons, sure. But ones I needed. Lesson 1: Secrets reveal intentions more clearly than words. Harper said she cared about me. She said she loved me. But the secret messages, the hidden login, the late-night plans, those were her real intentions. People can say anything. But what they hide, that's who they really are. And as painful as it was to learn that, it gave me something I didn't realize I was missing: clarity. Lesson 2: Broken trust cannot be glued back with apologies. Harper apologized when everything fell apart. She cried. She begged. She said she never meant to hurt me. Maybe part of her believed that. Maybe she truly was sorry. But trust isn't a vase you can break and then tape together. Once it cracks, especially the way she cracked it, it never looks the same again. I didn't hate her. I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't even want her punished. I just understood that forgiveness doesn't fix everything. Some endings are necessary, even when they hurt. Lesson 3: Revenge doesn't need anger, truth is enough. I didn't fight her. I didn't yell. I didn't try to destroy her life. I simply exposed the truth she created. And the truth did the rest. The truth shut down Project Sierra. The truth cleared my name. The truth protected my job and my peace. And more importantly, the truth freed me from a relationship that was slowly breaking me without my even noticing. Sometimes revenge is just stepping out of someone's shadow and letting the truth speak louder than your anger ever could. As the weeks went by, I started to rebuild. I focused on myself again. My career. My health. My routines. The things I had almost forgotten while trying to hold together something that was already falling apart. I started waking up earlier. Cooking breakfast. Going for walks. Talking with friends I'd drifted away from. Little by little, the weight lifted. The worry faded. The tension dissolved. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole again. Looking back now, I'm not angry at Harper. Honestly, I hope she finds her way. I hope she learns from what happened. I hope she grows into someone who doesn't need secrets to feel in control. Because I grew. And that's what matters. That login, the one I wasn't supposed to see, it didn't just reveal her truth. It revealed mine. It taught me to trust myself. To listen to my instincts. To value honesty more than comfort. And it taught me that sometimes, the truth you stumble into, is the truth that saves you. So now, when I think back to the night everything changed, I don't feel fear or sadness. I feel clarity. Because she thought I'd never learn the truth, but her login revealed everything. If this story moved you, if it made you think about trust, secrets, or second chances, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that remind us how powerful the truth can be. And remember, no matter how dark things get, you deserve honesty, respect, and peace.